1990s, most console RPGs followed an extremely predictable formula. In 1995 though, EarthBound revolutionized the genre and provided an experience unlike virtually every other game of its kind. With a modern setting and characters, hyperbolic storyline, and trademark over-the-top humor, it truly stands out from the crowd. Even on a system with over 100 RPGs, the game remains one of the most memorable. EarthBound was the masterwork of Shigesato Itoi, who only got the opportunity to create the game because his vision impressed Shigeru Miyamoto, legendary creator of Mario and Zelda. According to Itoi himself, the development teams were staffed mostly by individuals willing to work all night on the project. Even so, the game came under the repeated threat of cancellation, but it was finally completed in 1994. First, let me get into the things that separate the title from other RPGs. EarthBound is filled with modern concepts. Phones to call others, ATM machines to withdraw money, shopping malls, bicycles, hotels, and arcades. There's even a pizza delivery system where you can order health-restoring pizzas to wherever you are, even inside dungeons. Now these guys deserve a hefty tip. The game is oriented in sort of an isometric view. It doesn't look quite the same as say Argus Odyssey or Super Mario RPG, but the structures and buildings are arranged in an isometric way. In addition, the controls allow for movement in 8 cardinal directions, which was actually a novel concept for an SNES RPG. EarthBound's most distinctive quality, bar none, is its unique brand of humor, which fills the entire game. Almost every scenario and objective is constructed in a way to be ridiculous, intentionally so, and create so many memorable moments and laughs. Whether it's sharing too much information, characters that crack jokes, or even enemies that belch, there's just so much here to love. But it doesn't do the game justice just for me to tell you the game has so many bits of humor, so let me cite some specific examples that stuck out to me. One subject that just cracked me up was Apple Kid and Orange Kid in Tucson. Both are young inventors in financial distress, but they're actually quite different. Apple Kid is considered a smelly lunatic, whereas Orange Kid has a reputation for being brilliant and studious. While Apple Kid's inventions prove to be pivotal to the success of Ness and his friends, Orange Kid tries to figure out how to unboil an egg for most of the game. Another humorous moment occurs on the sea to Scaraba, where Ness and the group defeat a kraken. Afterward, the captain of the ship you're using says he contributed to its demise by throwing his slippers at it. Right. Most importantly, Ness's neighbor Pokey plays one of the biggest roles in the game, and he's such a chode. At almost every step of Ness's journey, he appears out of nowhere, often playing second fiddle to one of the group's adversaries. Some of these moments are just so ridiculous, like when he escapes from Foreside after stealing the mayor's helicopter. The game doesn't take itself seriously at all. I mean, come on, Ness learns about his destiny to save the world from a dying bee that was killed by Pokey's mom. And these aren't unique highlights, the game is totally filled with these hyperbolic and comedic moments, and they totally add to the enduring allure of the game. In comparison to other RPGs from the era, one can easily tell that an incredible amount of time was poured into EarthBound's translation. The loads of humorous moments added incredible flavor, and really stand out as one of the best aspects of the game. EarthBound really isn't the type of game that features a ton of epic character progression moments, but the characters themselves are distinct. Ness is your average boy who loves steak and has a dog, and uses a baseball bat in battle. Paula assists her mother teaching preschool in Tucson, and has incredible psychic powers. Jeff is the son of a brilliant scientist, and spends his time in a boarding school in Winters. Pooh is Dahlum's prince, who is studying martial arts. They all fit together well and get added to the party as you progress through the game. The characters more or less are who they are. Though there are interactions between them, almost all of it is shared from the perspective of other characters. Minor characters do play an enormous role in how the game unfolds though, and you will see several of them multiple times along your journey. The one minor gripe I have is that you don't get Pooh until near the end of the game, and even after you do, he leaves the party for a fairly significant amount of time almost immediately afterward. I thought that this part could have been handled a little bit better in the story, but it doesn't detract from the overall experience. As for combat, there isn't too much that's groundbreaking here. Battles take place in a first-person view. It's a little bit like the Phantasy Star games, except for you don't see your characters at all, only enemies. The most unique facet of the battles is probably the health gauge ticking concept. Whenever your characters are hit by attacks, their life takes some time to tick down to eventually reach the full value of the hit. This means that even if you take fatal damage and manage to finish the battle before the meter reaches 0, you will remain alive. This was a bit innovative, but almost all other aspects are pretty standard fare. When it comes to the soundtrack, I mostly love it, but have some mixed feelings here. It has a lot of songs for an SNES game, and that's a very good thing. It has both melodic tunes and ambient songs that play during storyline segments. I can see how the varied array of songs may be appealing to some, but I think some of the ambient tracks don't hold up as well. That said, I think the upbeat melodies, and especially the town themes, are incredible. Those for Onett, Tucson, Winners, and Forsyth are just awesome, and a true pleasure to listen to. There's also a fierce and infectious tune that plays during the end boss. I don't want to completely spoil that moment in this video, but you can see where it occurs if you take a look at my complete storyline video for the game. Unlike almost all other RPGs, EarthBound contains a few extremely rare items that have a very low chance of dropping from certain enemies. For instance, Pooh's Sword of Kings, his most powerful weapon, has a 1 in 128 chance of being dropped from a Starman Super. This is made even worse by the fact that this enemy is only available for a very short time in the game. This system of ultra rare drops doesn't take away from the average player's fun, but it's almost certain to drive completionists mad. Another aspect of EarthBound that was really executed well was the stark contrast between its various settings. At the beginning of the adventure, you make your way through several small towns, and at first the game seems limited to that. But after you venture out a bit, you encounter all sorts of places. Among them is a winter wilderness with Stonehenge, pyramids in the desert of Scaraba, the metropolis of Forsyth, the beach resort of Summers, and Saturn Valley, the land of the game's iconic pink creatures. There's even a dream world to get through later in the game, and some time travel thrown in as well. The game varies all the scenarios and areas so well that EarthBound never feels monotonous. It's just refreshing. The biggest criticism I have about the game is its antiquated inventory system. Each character in EarthBound only has 14 item slots, and this limitation includes equipped weapons, armor, and accessories. This makes it like the Dragon Quest games, which were also popular during this time. Unfortunately, the game also features a lot of storyline items that use up valuable spaces, and there are a lot of single-use items Jeff can employ in battle. There is a portable storage system, but it's a bit too cumbersome. Overall, the system is tedious and requires you to move items around constantly between characters. Even during this time, many RPG counterparts discarded this type of arrangement, using a system with unlimited space shared between all characters instead. Uniquely so, EarthBound was sold in a mega-sized box that contained a lot of extras not found in other games, such as a full strategy guide. About 140,000 units were shipped to retail stores, which was much less than some other RPGs. It also had an infamous and obscure marketing campaign where scratch and sniff smells were included in Nintendo Power. Because it's developed such a dedicated following of fans, complete versions of the game now fetch a ludicrous sum. It was released digitally on the Nintendo eShop for the Wii U in 2013, and Nintendo actually put some effort into marketing it at the time. Most fortunately for fans though, it was also included on the SNES Classic, a huge addition for those that wanted to play it now despite the hefty price. EarthBound was developed over the incredible period of 5 years, and it was the product of Ape and HAL Laboratory working in tandem. The game had a predecessor in Japan called Mother. It was originally slated to come out in North America, but was later cancelled, much to the discontent of those who were waiting for it to come to the NES. However, a fully translated prototype exists and was dumped into ROM format in the 1990s. It's definitely worth checking out. It was also finally released officially as EarthBound Beginnings in 2015 for the Wii U. Everything combined, I can see why EarthBound has amassed such a dedicated following. It just oozes with character, and really has no comparison on the SNES. I think it's a bit on the easy side, but it more than makes up for that complaint with its originality. Even if you make your way through the game, there's so much great lore and humorous text that it remains fresh, and you can always discover something new in subsequent playthroughs. It's an RPG, but it's so unlike the system's other RPGs that it has its own distinctive flavor that has stood the test of time. It definitely won't blow you out of the water with its graphics or character development, but its humor, gameplay, and story are memorable in so many ways. The only real RPG trope that EarthBound embraces is the goal of saving the world from evil. In almost every other way, it broke the stereotypical mold. It's definitely cut from a different cloth, but I absolutely recommend it to everyone that has yet to play it. If you like this review and remember EarthBound, leave a comment below about the most memorable aspect of the game to you. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell below to be alerted upon the addition of new ones. Also, please consider supporting my channel via YouTube's Join feature to receive member exclusives, such as advanced videos and complete video transcripts.